Eric B's Daily Vlogs.
All right, another special guest, another live stream that we're doing today. We have a funny comedian coming back on. And yes, it's a female comedian. A lot of you guys were like, hey, Eric, come on, get some female comedians on here. I reached out to a lot of female comedians, and Maria is the first one to respond. So Maria is going to get first dibs on the female stand-up comic on here. So like what we always do, we're going to do what we always do. We're going to get back to Maria on the other side of the break. So first, let's get this started.
You're listening to the Daily Podcast with Eric B.
Welcome, everyone. It's the Daily Podcast and the Daily Vlogs. I'm your host, Eric B. Thank you for waking up early this morning. For you guys who are still asleep, man, you guys are so lucky you guys are asleep on a Saturday morning. We always got to wake up early and got to do something. I have a podcast that I do every Saturday morning at 9, so I always got to get up and do that. I have the fortunate special guest to have on with me today. Her name is Maria from SoCal. Maria De La Ghetto is the name that we have. I'm going to go ahead and bring her in right now. I'm going to give her a round of applause. There she is. Maria,
hey.
How are you?
What a hey.
Big round of applause for Maria right here. Maria De La Ghetto.
Indeed. Yeah, what's up? Thank you for having me.
No,
I'm
thank
really
you for
excited.
being on.
I like actually podcasts. I think they're really fun.
I caught you on a flyer with Rex, and I'm a big follower of Rex from the Bay Area here. And when I saw you, and I said, okay, let me go check out some of her stuff. Your stuff is funny, and I love how you embrace who you are as a person, who you are as the lady in comic. I love that. I love how you're okay with your stature, and I'll let you say it because I'm one of those guys that don't like to say it, but go ahead and say, your stature as a comic.
My stature? Like, is that what you're talking
You're
about?
saying,
I don't know.
you were saying in one of your shows how you're a big comic, and I don't like using the big word, so,
Right. Oh, so, okay. Yeah. About normalizing fatness, I think is the only way to really say it. Beyond stigma. I mean, let's go back to as being Filipinos. I'm half Filipino, so I like to represent both sides. Yeah, like in Filipino culture, it's such a fat phobia is an understatement.
Yeah,
every tita, every lola, every mom, especially if you're fat, you're unworthy of love. That's just what you grow up knowing. Yeah. Like a husband, you're never gonna, that's pretty much it, because that's all they care about. Not say like everyone, but as in the culture, that's predominantly what it is. If you're fat, then you're what are you doing? On top of being a nurse, by the way.
Yeah, Filipinos. And we talked before. What's your nationality?
So I'm half Filipino. I was born in the Philippines, but I was raised in LA. I think it was like 6 months old when I came here.
Okay.
So yeah, my dad's like 4th or 5th generation Mexican. So he's same with the rest of it. Back to maybe Durango. That's what I just found out. And then they moved. Yeah, but really, I mean, it's LA roots because they've been here for like I think great grandparents or something like that.
Okay.
Yeah, and then my mom's we came here the same time. I was 6 months old and she was in 30. Yeah. So, and then you have those cultural identities, and then you have American, like your American identity, and then you have your Filipino. There's so many different, just culturalities that it's wild because you have your Filipino friends, but not all of them grew up here. some of them grew up over there, came over here like, recently. And it's just, it made for a very, growing up in LA, it made for an interesting, guess you could say. That's
nice.
basically it.
What's your food? What's your go-to food? You're fortunate enough to have the two best nationalities when it comes to food. You have the Filipino food and you have the Mexican food. What's your go-to? If you're like feeling down, you didn't have a really good show, what's your comfort food that you say, I gotta have this?
Korean barbecue. That's separate, but
no, I love it. It's, you're in LA, of course, right? That's what we do in LA.
Right? AF too. You know what I'm saying? They're like, oh yeah, for sure. Honestly, tacos, just because it's so readily available.
Yeah.
Like after a show, because in LA there are always like a taco, like there's always like the taco guy. That's my best friend. Shout out to Not Those Tacos. Yeah. So Mexican food, because Filipino food is definitely comfort food. Like, what's me like the first thing she's like, what do you want to eat? And I'm like,
of course. Just eat. That's all it is.
Sorry?
Just eat. Just eat. That's just eat.
Oh my gosh.
Let's eat.
And that's like another thing about this. Started recently incorporating into my set about my mom, how she wasn't as bad as a lot of Filipino moms. I will say that, like, for her being old fashioned, for her time, she's, I guess, a little bit more progressive because she didn't get married till she was in her 30s. Lived on her own, for a long while before she met my dad. She left home, she got a job, got her apartment. And so I guess she was a little bit more progressive, but like with the weight thing, I will say and all that, but excuse me, also like, it's just the culture, like, she look a certain way and, whatever. And, but that ship has sailed a long time ago. Ain't no husband. So sorry, Mom. I love you, but
it's how it is. Yeah.
Yeah. So say I'm the bad Asian daughter. I'm not married to a white man. I'm fat and I'm very loud spoken.
Hey, so. That's how it is. I mean, it's like, there's so much stereotypes when it comes to a certain ethnic group, what we should be doing or who we should marry. But we're in a day and age right now where if I don't want to be in the medical field, I'm not going to be in the medical field. If I'm not going to be an engineer, I'm not going to be an engineer. If I want to sit here and make people laugh, that's what I'm going to do. And come to my next question, what got you into stand-up?
Literally the only thing I was good at. Like, I've tried many, and like I've always been good with people, so that's like a blessing. I've been good at talking, and of course my parents were like, my mom especially, like, you could if you apply yourself. And
yes.
I'm like, okay, whatever. But it just chemically kept my attention. I actually, as I got older, I liked school. I won't say liked it. It was easy because that's a whole other thing. But I recently going through the process of getting officially diagnosed for ADHD. But a lot of that, the career stuff. But the one thing that I always felt comfortable and just felt like love doing was like talking in front of people and making people laugh. I was always making people laugh. Like comics, they start out, I was the comedian of the friend group,
Yeah.
And, and for some of us, it's like, oh, dang, like this is definitely, but it's and it's hard. Like, it's not the same as just because no one's there to to bounce it back. You know what I mean? Other than you're basically having like the conversation in your head by yourself. So, but yeah, the one thing in life that I love doing and I actually on, like even when I don't want to work and I have to like really motivate myself, I'm like, I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this writing group, whatever. It's the one thing where I'm like, but even still in the back of my head, I'm like, but I like doing it, so it's okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you're good at it too. And again, I watched your comedy, and you were just out there in San Diego. My cousin came out to visit you. I said, hey, you know what? Rex and Maria's going to be out in San Diego. Since you're there, why don't you go ahead and support them, buy tickets? I wish you came out here to San Francisco when we watched Rex, so that way, I can see the whole full of you guys, but one day we'll make it down to LA. We'll definitely go watch you down there. Who inspired you to be a comic? Like you said, this is the one thing that you're good at, but was there somebody that said, that inspired you that said, you know what, that's what I want to do?
Absolutely. Hands down, easiest question ever, Margaret Cho, who showed me that I could do this.
Yes.
And I'll never forget the joke. I heard this joke and I'll never forget it because it's really what said, oh my gosh. She made the joke about seeing Asian girls on TV, which you don't usually see. I mean, at the time. We still have a long way to go. But she was like talking about being an actor or whatever she was saying. And she's like, she was like, maybe one day I could be an extra on MASH.
Oh, wow.
I was dying laughing because that was all you could do as an Asian was, all the stereotypes, all the whatever. And there was no Korean anything on TV or whatever.
Nope.
Hello?
It's what was. I'm right here. Sorry. No, that's me. That's me. My camera is going in and out. Sorry about that.
Well, I guess I'm just doing the podcast.
I'm here. Now. Can you hear me?
What?
Hold on. Here we go. Hold on. Here we go.
So we're just gonna leave it to me. That's fine.
Can you hear me now? There you go.
Yeah.
Something was going on. I'm sorry about that. Yeah. So
no, it's okay.
I totally understand about stereotypes when it comes to what they want us to be. I mean, to me, you look 100% Filipino, but then you got that Mexican side also. You're also an actress when it comes to roles. What's the first thing when you say, hey, I want to audition for this role, but they're asking for a totally different ethnic person, how do you have to sell it to them? Like, hey, I'm Filipino and Mexican, but this role is asking for an Asian person. This is what I'm going to have to do to you guys to prove to you guys that I can do this whole Asian thing.
Okay. So, full disclosure, I'm doing roles or doing stuff. And I haven't had the opportunity yet to play, I guess, anything other than Filipino or Mexican.
Okay.
Recently got a role playing, like more Latina, a Latino role, but Latina, like, I'm not like, my character is, I guess, mixed if I really want her, but her character isn't really touched on in that way. Like, you just assume she's Latina, really. And it's funny that you say, oh, I look 100% Filipina, and which, like, I love that. But some people will say, oh, I thought you were Mexican. You look very Mexican. It really depends on who I'm around, who I'm with, how I'm dressed. Like, I feel like right now I'm repping the Sampaguita earrings. And, like, that's pretty much it. I'm sorry, but if I were to put some hoops on, put a bandana, it'd be a different story.
Yeah.
Like, it's actually really cool how something so little can change the whole aesthetic and the whole look. But I'm excited to try other roles outside of that. I mean, I feel about that in terms of like playing other ethnicities. Like, I think it's cool. I do love culture. I love learning about other people's culture and really like, and immersing myself into their culture. You know what I mean? Like, but I want more diversity in Hollywood. Because I want all of that, I'm like, well, Cambodian person play this part, or and like, no, not saying that, oh, this person wasn't Cambodian. And like, I'm not that hardcore yet, but I'm just saying, like, I have a lot of diversity out there. It's just, the casting agent hasn't caught up quite yet,
Got it.
So they're getting there. I will say, they're definitely having more of like Asian and, all that, but it's still,
we're coming. I mean, Filipinos are coming a long way. I interviewed when I started this podcast. I started interviewing a lot of actors, and a year ago, 2 years ago, I was so adamant about why aren't Filipino playing Filipino roles? We're always going in there. Ernie Reyes Jr. is one guy who I grew up watching a lot, and he never played a Filipino role, and I was really upset with that. And me not knowing the whole just of why he wasn't playing that. I interviewed Eugene Cordero, who, an actor down in LA. He's in Easter Sunday. He plays cousin Eugene with Joe Coy.
Oh yeah.
And I asked him about that same question, hey, if they say we want you to play a Mexican, but you're Filipino, what's that in your head? And he goes, and he said it to me flat out, hey, Eric, me playing a Mexican is going to put food on my table for my family. And I never thought of it that way. I never thought of it that way at all. I was more proud to be Filipino. I was more like, no, we got to play the Filipino roles. But it's a build-up. We have to build ourselves up to play the roles that we are. Like Tia Carrera even just said, in this movie Easter Sunday, I played so many roles in my lifetime, but this is the first time I played my actual nationality.
Dang.
So it's kind of like, wow, it took that long for someone to say, Tia, you're playing Filipino.
Yeah.
But then again, it comes back to what would put food on the table is what the role that I'm going to play. And I totally never thought of it that way. I thought, again, I was being proud Filipino that I didn't think of the whole outcome of like, hey, if I'm going to skip this role because it's not a Filipino role or it's not me, then I'm not going to do it. But then the money wise came in. I'm like, hey, you know what, Eugene, you're right. You're right. So
yeah, for sure. I mean, and here's the thing. I think a lot of that, I mean, we want to doing, so we're willing to, I guess, sacrifice. And really, like, it's not how many, like, it's when you really, when we don't really have quite the platform, status, and, we're not making multi-billion or yet in terms of it's not like Keanu Reeves where he could that. Like, it definitely has, there's a hierarchy, and I hate that there is. Yeah. Even, and I think it's ridiculous, but this whole other thing. But the people to speak up and say like, hey, telling the casting people like, yo, this person's Mexican to be an Italian, or this person is supposed to be, Chinese, but doing.
Yeah.
You couldn't find a Korean actor to play a Korean role, like, because they're the ones at the power. That happens, like we're just gonna have to. But I don't think it's that bad. Like it's not as bad as it was. I feel like a Philippine kind of thing isn't as bad as like back in the day when it was like way worse. Like, you know what I mean? Yeah. And slow progression, but
it's funny
still
because
have a lot of work to do.
So when the live action Mulan came out, remember the live action movie Mulan came out? I liked it. I said, oh my God, this is a good movie. It portrayed the cartoons. And I asked a couple of my Chinese friends, I said, hey, what do you think about Mulan? Isn't that cool how they got this female out there? And they were like, no. And I'm like, what do you mean? She's like, well, she's from, and then they said she's from the actress is from a different province and not even playing the province of where Mulan really is from. And I was like, but she's still from China. And I didn't realize that they're where they're from is who they should be playing. And I guess a bunch of the characters in that movie was from different provinces that a lot of Asian Chinese Americans didn't like it because it didn't portray what the village was supposed to be. And I didn't know that. I didn't know that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
No, I had no idea. I heard there was, maybe it was another movie. I don't know. But like, in that respect, yeah, I mean, again, it's just not, I guess, diverse. Also, it's Disney. Like,
Yeah,
they don't really care.
exactly.
You know what I'm saying? You're lucky you got a Chinese cast for a Chinese movie.
Not the whitewashing like they used to do back in the 30s, right?
Yeah, for real. What's her name? I mean, I like her. Elizabeth Taylor playing Cleopatra.
Yeah.
Well, actually,
well,
I'm pretty sure Greek. But anyway, that's a whole different thing.
If you had to choose between the two, if you had to say, you know what, I think I'm going to focus on comedy or focus on acting, which of the two would you want to focus on?
Well, I mean, right now I got the opportunity and roles were coming in and they're like booking me, like actually booking me. Yeah. Probably choose the acting because it's something. I was a theater kid, but that was like high school, and I loved it, and I love it, and I think comedy it's not easy per se, like as challenging as acting would be, because I'm used, like it's something I've always done, like even in childhood, like I've had, like, even when I started doing comedy, for me, cracking jokes, that's like my defense mechanism. That's my security blanket. I noticed that, like, when I would crack a joke just to be friendly, people saw threat almost.
Oh, wow. Because
they're like, oh, that was funny. Or, oh, I'm like, oh, just the way that they were just trying to be friends with you. Like, I'm here by myself. But I'm in a room full of comedians who think they're like, they see me as competition, and I'm like, oh, well, that's more, whatever. And that was a little difficult, but yeah, I think I would definitely immerse myself into acting. It went that way, because I could always go back to comedy. I feel like, what I mean. Honestly, in the beginning, I did comedy to get into acting. Like, it's easy for me to be funny, so this is a foot in the door, and
once you get in, you can pretty much go whichever way you want, right? I mean, like you just said, if you get into comedy, which you're in now, and then you get into a show, a movie, a series, a sitcom, you could always fall back on comedy. I mean, like, you see famous comics right now, like, Dave Chappelle, comic, actor,
Jay
Leno, comic, actor. I mean, that's the good thing about being multitasking and being able to do two things at one time. And I would definitely love to see you on the big screen, small screen, Netflix, Hulu. I'd love to see you on there and see, where this career takes off. How difficult is it for you to be a female comic? I mean, you hear a lot about the difference between male and female. You being a female comic in the industry in LA, where a lot of people goes and starts their career, but you're there, you're pretty much raised there, but still there's still the difficulties of being a female comic. How difficult was that for you?
Well, I mean, I've encountered, the like typical stuff, but my experience is slightly different because, number one, I'm a big girl, arms and always, like, physically, like, mentally, like, personality, I'm big, and it's really intense. So I tend to not have to deal with a lot of stuff that most women deal with. When I was younger, like, a lot of men saw me as like new meat on the scene, and whatever. And I was like thinner, so I was like, kind of young, dumb, pretty, whatever. Yeah. That was like an issue. But for the most part, like, I'm really loud, and I'm just like, I'm not afraid to be mean. I'm not afraid to, like, say something, dude. I don't even care. Like, I fully expect and I will say this, if I fight someone, if I turn up, I fully expect this man to hit me back. Like, I'm not expecting this whole, oh, you can't help me because but I'm fighting you. Like, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, let's go. Earrings off. We go toe to toe. And so I think that energy, just, there's that, and then And then there's like the subtle stuff. Like there's the like, but it's like when I go to a show and if it's all men, I'll fish at first because I don't know where this thing came from where men said that women aren't as funny. I've seen at the shows. Are you telling me men are funnier? Please.
Yeah.
You need to do a little bit more writing, sir. Yeah. You know, I just thing to do with like gender. I don't understand. Like I've seen men, trans women, non-binary, and like they're all funny in their own way.
They are.
Some people might not be funny to you. I did learn this, which was cool. Me, a lot of the time I see people and I'm like, oh, he's not funny. How's he getting? I'm just talking smack in my head. But they're talking and like, you know, to other people and listening and other comic point of views. Sometimes like they're not my cup of tea. They're not my type of comedy, you know? And so that, you know, all right, well, that opens it up a little more. Okay, so maybe there are more than I thought that are funny. Yeah. So, but what I was originally saying is if lots of guys that are mostly guys, I'm like the only woman, I notice sometimes a lot of shit at first until they see me perform. And I don't know what it is that they think like what I'm just in from whoever. I'm like, yeah, that we're all here for that. Like, what are you thinking that between you and I, except for maybe anatomy, you know, like, and I kill 9 times out of 10. We all bomb every now and again, but then I just noticed that they're so like, oh, you know what's up? Oh, I'm so and so and blah blah blah, but like didn't say me. So that kind of throws me out. That kind of turns me off a little bit in terms of like, you know, I'm petty. I'm Filipino and Mexican. Of course, I'm petty.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? My rap name's Petty Wap. So for me, I'm just like, oh, now you want to be my friend? But I had to learn to like, you know, like, that's fine. It's fine. I could understand that because if someone doesn't take the game, like the seriously, like if they're not in it to win it type, you know, you're a different level.
Yeah.
You know, I'm like, this is my career. So if I'm doing a show with someone who's just dabbling in it or it's only a hobby, it goes, like that's a different breed. That's a different level. That's a different, you know what I mean? Like win it and I'm here to like, you know, whatever. So I can't be distracted by, you know what I'm saying, like, I'm being focused. So, and I want to be around people who are like-minded, not to be I'm here for the money. I'm here. No.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I take this job seriously.
Good.
So yeah.
I mean, you know, comic is not an easy thing to do. I mean, like you said, you got to come there, you got to stand for, you know, the 10, 15, 20 minutes that you're there, and you got to make sure that people are laughing. And it's not for everyone. I mean, you know, you have people up there who, you know, like I love comic and the difference between comics. And, you know, like you said earlier, you can't go there expecting to laugh at everyone. But there's certain ways comics does their things. And I love comics who sits there, they have a script, they know what they're talking about. And then the interaction with the crowd sometimes always even makes that even funnier because it's you know, we're there to laugh. And if you're going to sit there and you're going to clown on me, I'm not going to take you serious. I'm going to just laugh because that's what I want to do. Have you ever hit a point where you interacted with someone and they just was pissed off the whole show?
You would. I mean, I haven't had that bad of a heckler experience. Like I'm not saying I, you know, never will. I hope I don't have to deal with something that bad. I had hecklers for sure. And like, if they're really trying like to, but I've never had to like really dig in them, you know?
Yeah.
And like, if you're a professional, you're not gonna like really dig in them. You're gonna try and make light of it fun. But there are times where I see like these audience members who deserve them, make them look dumb.
Yeah.
Like, because you're out here disrespecting this hecklers is they want attention. That's what it is. And this is something I actually want to talk about too. It's similar, and I think those same people talk to in outside of the show, when they find out I'm a comedian, when someone finds out I'm these people feel like I can immediately feel the shift and the need. Like, bro, I'm just having a conversation. Yeah. What are you doing? Yeah. And they have to like tell me like, I wanted to be a comedian, or, you know what, I've been thinking about it. Like, I really, you know, I'm always, everyone tells me I'm fun. Like their credits, I'm just like, I don't care. I don't know why you trying to prove. Yeah. And if you feel so bad that you are funny, means, bro, like handle your business. Do
what you gotta do. Yeah.
Handle your ish. And those are the same people that are heckling. And it's like, if you think you're so funny, come up here then. No? Okay, come, you know what I'm saying? Like, sit down, shut up, enjoy the show, or don't. Yeah. But don't disrespect me like all these comedians who are coming up here, a lot of the shows, we aren't getting, you know, I'm being upfront and real. Like, this business is hard because it's your time and money, hoping you'll get a payoff, you know? Yeah. Yeah. So, it's just, so thankfully I haven't had a really bad heckler. And usually, you know, they're heckling, I'll just be louder. I just get loud. Yeah, I mean, then I just ignore them. I think they just stop.
That's disrespectful. I mean, you know, it's like it's like, you know, the episode of Jerry Seinfeld. I don't know if you've seen it, where he was getting heckled. Probably not. And then he said, you know what? I'm going to go to her job and I'm going to heckle her. See how she likes it. So he went to her job, heckled her, and she ended up getting, you know, anxiety, all that stuff. But that's how it is. It's like, you don't come to my job, and, you know, unfortunately I work in the medical field, you know, being that typical Filipino, right? If someone came to my work,
hey, that's okay. You're still important. I get it.
But yeah, if someone came to my work and told me like, you're not doing this right, you know, I mean, like, there's a different form of heckling. And if you're telling me what I'm not doing, and I'm sitting here doing this 8 hours a day for 40 hours a week, it's kind of the same thing that what you're like, hey, that's not funny, you know, say it again, or, you know, whatever hecklers. And sometimes I always wonder if these people are there just to heckle. Are they there just to, you know, heckle, or are they, you know, too much alcohol? I don't know. I can't stand hecklers. It's honest. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just saying it's all of those things. Like a lot of, like, sometimes both.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's just, you know, I want to, you know, for someone like me, I want to go have a good time. I want to enjoy myself. And if I have to sit here and listen to someone else heckle back, it's like, dude, I didn't come here to listen to you. I came here to watch her. So shut up, you know?
And here's the thing. There are times where we want you to protect where you're from, or, hey, do y'all like this? Like, and that there's definitely to comedy shows, but like there's audience participation, and then there's, hey, bro, you know when to cut it off. Like, quit acting brand new, you know?
Stop acting like this is your first. There's this new comedian out, a Filipino guy who plays with a guitar. I've seen some of his videos, and he's
J.R. Guzman.
Is that, yes. He's hilarious because he likes, oh, there you go. He's going to be in San Francisco next month. Might go stop by and go watch him. But I love the interaction that he has, because it's like, he knows, like you just said, he knows when to cut it off. He knows to keep speaking, and then he knows, all right, I'm done. Let's move on, you know? Yeah. Some comedians don't, you know, some comedians, you know, like it's a make or break their career. Like that guy who played on Seinfeld, I forget his name. Kramer character.
Oh, yeah. Kramer. Oh, yeah. God.
I mean, like he said, yeah. Anyways, yes. Where do you see yourself moving forward with either comic or acting?
Just like getting everything I want. Nice. In terms of, like, I haven't said this out loud yet. The first, I don't think it's happened yet, unless I missed it, but the first Filipino Mexican, because I'm both, I guess, to win an Oscar.
There you go. Hey.
So, and not only that, I do want to say I want to be the first fat woman and sings the first like real fat brown, because there's fat women but they're white. Let's be real. Women, that's that whatever. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I want as me, and you know, not that I wouldn't like lose weight to a degree.
Yeah.
To a degree, you change your look to get into. That's the case, then no shade. But that's not the case. Let yourself like give in to these Hollywood standards.
Yeah.
That's where it's like another cutout. You know what I mean? Like, and it's hard. I'm not trying to bash all of them. I don't care. But I understand the pressures of society, Hollywood.
Yeah.
And then they're constantly criticizing and saying all these things or whatever. And then I'm like, I don't know who you criticizing looking the way you do. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Like, but it is. And so I just really want to bring that kind. I want to bring realness and like Lizzo. I want to be the Lizzo of the comedy world. I love what she's doing. Exactly what I want to do.
Yep.
You know, in terms of representation. So I'm here for it. I love in acting and comedy. Yeah.
I mean, I definitely want to see that. I mean, I'm tired of watching, like, if they give you a role and they give you a role of a person who's going to play a big character role, and like you're going to be the friend that's always going to be hungry, that's always going to be that. You know, I'm tired of seeing that in Hollywood. Why can't you just be the main character and say, hey, yeah, this is who I am. I'm proud of who I am. Give me something challenging and let me just, let me kill it. Let me show you guys that I'm big, but I can also do what you need me to do. And, I don't know why Hollywood is still a little hesitant when it comes to that. I mean, they've tried it in the past, and sometimes these big name actresses,
they don't do it right.
Yeah, they don't do it right. And then like they disappear.
No, they use fat suits.
It's like,
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah. No, I totally get it. I totally understand what you mean. And, I definitely want to see you on, a big screen, small screen. I definitely want to see you on the Oscars one day, nominated and winning something moving forward. And then you can say, hey, I'm the first Filipina Mexican American to win an Oscar. And, that'll be great for both cultures on our end, right?
Yeah, yeah. It's just another thing, too, I wanted to touch on is not just being representing. I want us to normalize like body size, different body shapes and sizes. Like a fat character or whatever, and it's very rare, not even really properly representing, but whatever. That's always about so ugly. So this. Yeah. And if it's a romantic thing, she struggles with that. Everybody struggles with that, fat or not. But like, can we normalize just not having so much? Like, who cares?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, but when if it's in books and stuff, like you can see the way that they describe a thinner woman versus like a fat woman. Oh, she's big, but she's, blah, blah, blah. But he loved her. A pretty girl. They're like, she was crazy and wild, but he loved her wildness and all this stupid because she's pretty. Because she's pretty, you're not addressing, like, you don't care that how come the fat girl can be toxic. You know what I'm saying? I'm toxic, but you don't hear me.
That's something that writers needs to change out. And I totally get what you mean. It's like, like if we took the Notebook and put a big female in there, and if that female was in there and killed it, no one would remember her as a big person, right? I mean, no one would remember her as a big lady who played in the Notebook. They would just remember the Notebook. But the fact that Hollywood is always, we got to put, Ryan Gosling and whoever the other person is, we got to make sure that it's one of those things that's annoying to me because I have to sit here and I have to watch what Hollywood standards is. It's like, like my favorite show right now is Big Bang Theory, but I love the diversity in that, but they're still missing a couple people on there, right? It's like if they would have added a big person on there, then they would have added an Asian on there, even though they say Raj is Asian because he's from India.
Sure.
But, it's just one of those things where
we all,
yeah. I mean, we all know what we want, and I mean, it's Hollywood, and the thing that sucks about it is we're all trying to get in it, so we're all going to try to do what we have to do to get in it. I mean, like you said, change your appearance. I'm growing my hair out just for a part. I've been bald for 20 something years, and that's why I have the hat on, because my hair is all over the place. I got that thick Filipino hair, so it's like it's if I brush it back, it's an afro again. But I'm growing my hair out just for a part, and the part is I'm supposed to audition with long hair, and I can't get it any longer than it is right now because I don't control how fast my hair grows. So
right.
And then, it's like, okay, what if I did audition and then they don't give me this role? I was like, dude, I just grew my hair out for you guys,
Right. You're like, sure, absolutely. And I do want to say too, like, I'm talking about fat women because I'm a fat woman. It needs to be the same with men.
Yeah.
Like, I'm the first one to be, I'm very much like, I will throw it out there. But we also need to change as a whole when in terms of like the way men are perceived and treated, because that's really where I'm all about dismantling the patriarchy.
Yeah.
And it definitely, like, men do have to, in that whole how men aren't allowed to show emotions, how men aren't allowed to be, and all this stuff. Like, no, I want that for all of us.
Yeah.
Although there's already the thing I'm not super obviously, because men run the world, let's be real, that's just what it is. Like, it's already there. Leah Remini in that show, and like it's always they have no problem, the fat ugly guy, you know what I'm saying? But if it's a fat girl, she still has to be pretty in a certain way.
Yeah.
It's like, no, if he could be fat and ugly, she could be fat and ugly.
Yeah.
If he could be fat and pretty, she could be fat. I don't even like saying that, like, fat and ugly, fat and whatever. It's all he's in the eye of the beholder. But ugly is to the bone. I'm just saying.
You mentioned something earlier about, like, if someone pissed you off, you would fight them. And you have 3 scary things to me already. 1, you're Filipino. 2, you're Mexican. And 3, you're from LA. So those 3 right there put together, it's like, I am not going to mess with you. It's like, you go ahead and beat me down, because you have the 3 traits that I would not mess with.
And not only was it LA, like, let's be specific. It was LA in the 90s.
Yeah.
In one of the highly, like, populated gangs, the Avenues is where I grew up.
What part of LA? What
I'm from Highland Park.
Oh wow. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was hood AF in the 80s and 90s.
Yeah.
Beginning where my dad grew up in Highland Park. It was a working class neighborhood. There were very many Latinos in his neighborhood. It was mostly Jewish and Italian, and then him and another family were in that block kind of thing. And then towards the 80s and 90s, gang violence started. In the 90s was the peak of, like, Cholo era. I would walk home from school and I would see guys. I would see dudes fighting. Like, everyone was always fighting. Someone was always trying to fight me for no reason. Down. I never backed down from a fight, but no one was I was not gonna hit. I didn't want to fight you. You're the one calling me out. You gotta hit me first, because if my dad finds out that I threw the first, and I'm not about to have that.
Yeah.
So
you ever watched the movie?
Yeah, for sure.
You ever watched the movie Mi Vida Loca? They mentioned,
I think when I was,
they mentioned Highland Park during that. I don't know when that was supposed to be, like in the 80s. I mean, it was supposed to be portrayed in the 80s, but I don't know if it was the 80s or 90s, but they did mention Highland Park. And I was like, Highland Park, man, that's a neighborhood I remember the neighborhood from the movie, but then when I started watching shows like Gang Wars or the stuff they show on TV, I'm like, oh my God, I never realized how scary this neighborhood was or is. I don't know how it is now.
We moved all the Highland Park now is a bunch of wooden fences, like remodeled houses. Back in the 90s, it was chain link fences and pit bulls in the yard. You feel me? Different time. But what I was going to say is, I forgot. There was some gangs and I forgot. It went out the window. Oh, no. Anyway. Yeah.
Maria.
Yeah, it's not like that anymore.
Good. Good. Go ahead and plug what you have. What's your next show? Where are you going to be seen, and how can people get tickets? I know I went ahead and sent this out, so for you guys who are watching right now, you can go ahead and follow her here. I checked that link out. It shows a lot of either your show coming up or stuff where they can find you.
Let me just flip this around so I can see.
Oh, no worries.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, that's me, Linktree, baby.
Yeah, go ahead and follow her there.
And then, I actually have a show tonight in Hollywood. It's at 9:30, and ticket link is in the Linktree, so you can also. Nice. And then I have a show tomorrow down in Mar Vista. Honestly, all on my socials, I'm probably the most active on Instagram.
Yes.
So, but I'm on TikTok, Twitter, and it's all the same at Maria De La Ghetto.
Yeah, Maria De La Ghetto. And it's funny because I talked to you about your name, and I don't know if I'm the only one that got it, but when you say your name, does people right away figure out Fresh Prince?
No, because we're older now. But it is the reference to Fresh Prince. And I came up with the name randomly because I was hanging out with some had just started getting into like doing the open mics. This was when I was living in San Diego. So we were hanging stage name. They're like, yeah, I was like, what about, because the way that he said Rato, I thought it was so funny. And I mean, that whole show is so funny. But so I was like, it should be something like, that represents, what I'm saying? Like Maria De La Ghetto. We stopped and we're like, oh, dang, that actually flows really well.
It does.
I was like, I stuck with it. And this was like years, like over 10 years ago. This is maybe 9, 10, something like that. Yeah. So
Maria De La Ghetto. I like it. And it's funny because, it's like if you watch that episode of Fresh Prince, he's coming out on the fly also. He doesn't know what he wants his name to be. And he's like, I'm Raphael De La Ghetto. And my poem is, he looks at a clock and he goes, tick tock clock. So he's doing everything on the fly like you did when you came up with your name. Yes. But your real first name is Maria, correct?
Yes, my real first name. But stay greasy. You ain't gonna catch me slipping.
Yeah. No worries. I totally understand. There's certain things that you guys want to share, and there's a lot of things you don't want to share. I mean, like me and Rex were close, but Rex is still hesitant on giving me his cell phone number, which I don't know why. I'm like,
oh, so it's not just me. Okay, cool.
Oh no, it's not just. It's funny because I've known Rex since like the early, like when he first started, right? And watched him a lot at state. And then when he moved to Portland, went away, and I'm like, oh, okay, he's gone. Then when he started making his way back into the city, it's like, okay, this was before social media. And then now that we're on social media and he's coming back to the city, I'm shooting him a Facebook, messenger. And I'm like, hey, I'm going to watch you. He got on my show, did the same thing that we're doing right now. But it's still like, hey, Rex, here's my number. Shoot, let me know when you're in the city. Okay, cool. Like, all right. I guess this is where we're going to be at right now.
I think and I never think to ask either. Like for me, I just over the private message and all that.
Yeah.
Because so many people communicate that way. Don't even think. I don't know if it comes off that way with me, but I never give out my phone number. people would text me left and right. So I think also the like different avenues on like Facebook and it's kind of gives you a little bit of a break. Like you're not constantly getting text messages. That could also be something that can, because like anytime I get bookings, they're always social media or occasionally in an email. But mostly it's all done. So, and it's just easier, I think.
Yeah, it is. It is. I mean, you know, I'm free. If I know that I'm going to have you on my show, I give you my text only because it's easier for me to communicate via text message. And, you know, like when I'm at work, again, they're like, what are you doing on Facebook? I'm like, I'm not on Facebook. It's Messenger. You know,
two totally different things.
I'm messaging my next guest. But Maria, thank you for jumping on the show. Thank you for taking the time early in the morning. Are you ever going to plan on coming over to San Francisco? Is that
absolutely. I'm trying to tap into that.
Okay.
I just don't go, and I don't have like I have to still kind of research like, and then like I mean I know a couple of comedians up there, obviously, like, you know, well, Rex that's his hometown kind of
yeah.
But yeah, I'm trying to get up there and do some shows out there. I love NorCal. Like honestly, like I'm SoCal to the bone, but I love it up there.
You will love the food out here. I mean, I don't want to say LA doesn't have authentic Filipino because I've never tried LA Filipino food before. But you know, San Francisco, Daly City, we have some good Filipino food and some good Mexican food also. It can't beat LA Mexican food. I know that for a fact. But we have some good Mexican food as well. So
you know what? There's good Mexican food now. For the first time I went to Salt Lake City for like a day.
Oh wow.
To do a job real quick. Yeah. And they had pleasantly surprised. So if there's at least one Mexican there, you can find some good Mexican food.
That's how it is. That's all it is.
Mm-hmm.
We went to San Diego one day, and you know, this is wrapping up the show. We went to San Diego one day, finished watching an island reggae fest, went to a drive-through taqueria, and I said, oh, I'm going to get a burrito. Didn't realize that, you know, I'm used to a San Francisco burrito where they wrap it in foil, put the rice in and all that stuff. We get there, it's like in a wax paper.
Wax paper.
They just put it in the bag and there was no rice. And I'm like, this is not the burrito. But I guess being in San Diego, it's different how they do things out there than they do things here in the Bay Area. So
I've never had burrito. That's random.
So
I don't know. I love San Diego. I love LA food. I love whatever, but like San Diego breakfast burritos can't be beat. I'm sorry. I know. I said it. I said what I said.
There it is. She said it. When I get down to LA, I'm definitely going to come out, watch your show. We definitely got to hang out, and you take me to a cool taco spot. Same thing when you're up here. Definitely let me know when you come out here. Then we'll definitely go hang out.
I will.
Maria De La Ghetto, everyone, let's go ahead and give her another round of applause. Again, you can follow her on Instagram. She's very active on Instagram, and she's, you know, I think that's where I reached out to you first, right? Was it Instagram? It was Instagram.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yes. And she responded right away. So, you know, she's very active, and there's one story you did of that taco spot, and I was just in awe just watching my phone. I'm like, tell me more about the tacos. Keep talking to me. It was a couple weeks ago. I think you just did a show and you walked out. There was a taco truck out there, and you know, you said, "Oh, it's back" or something like that. And I was like, I gotta find this taco spot.
It's across the street from the BuzzFeed. Oh my God!
Yeah.
Shout out to Chris Ortiz for taking me there.
Yeah.
I filmed the BuzzFeed video on my socials too, and I'm in love with this place. Oh my God! They have a 3-year celebration today. I was gonna hit that up before I went to
my friend Angie's in San Diego, and she just commented, looking forward and checking you out on Instagram.
Oh, thank you.
Go ahead and check her out. She's also in LA, you know, so drive that 2 hours up to LA. Go check her out up there. I can't wait to watch you. I can't
always in San Diego though. So
okay, there you go. You show everything on your Instagram. Everything is always on there. So that's a good way. So follow her on Instagram. Again, if you guys need her Instagram, it's at Maria De La Ghetto, no spaces. And then her link tree again is right here. So if you want to find out everything that you guys need to know about where she's going to be, she does have you have a food thing going on here, which is kind of like, I'm like, whoa, let me go check this out. So I'm going to touch base on that later. But Maria, thank you for jumping on.
Okay.
Thank you for being on the show.
Thank you so much.
Can't wait. And like I tell all my guests, you're welcome back here anytime. Whenever you want to come back on, definitely just let me know. You're definitely welcome back on the show whenever you want. All right.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
All right, guys. That's Maria De La Ghetto. Another round of applause for her right there. All right. Good luck. Can't wait to see you on the Oscars.
Thank you.
Can't wait to see you and me say that's exactly what she said she was going to do. And I'm going to have it right here on this show when you said, I'm going to win an Oscar.
You're right. History has been made.
History has been made. Thank you. Good luck. Have a great day today and have a great show tonight.
Too.
Take care.
Take care.
All right. That was Maria De La Ghetto. Thank you guys for jumping on. Thank you guys for jumping on this early on a Saturday morning. Again, follow her on Instagram. Again, her social media account right there, Maria De La Ghetto, Instagram, and then her Linktree page. You can go follow her there as well. But this has been great. This has been fun. I'm going to go enjoy my Saturday. Got a couple of things I got to do. But as we always do, thank you guys for watching. The podcast is ended. Go in peace. All right, some of you guys reached out, just threw me a text message and was like, hey, I don't remember that episode of Fresh Prince. What's that episode? So I'm going to play a quick snippet of the
20
episode.
years of heartbreaks and the great.
Hold on. There's an ad going on, so we're going to pause. We're going to unmute it. And I'm going to play that episode of Fresh Prince where she says, or he says his name.
My poem is called Tick Tock Clock by Rafael De La Ghetto.
There it is. Rafael De La Ghetto. But thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for jumping on. Podcast is ended, guys. Go in peace.
Thanks for listening to the Daily Podcast with Eric B.